Continuing on with the Clone Wars and the Battle of Cala arc, I hopped on over to the next episode on the list, Season 4, Episode 2, Gungan Attack. Oh, before I start, I saw a lot of folks telling me that the new King's handler guy was actually Admiral Akbar. That completely missed me. I don't remember anyone saying Akbar's name or anything like that in the episode, but they must have, right? I just missed it. Maybe I was trying to keep my daughter's toys in her bouncer in that moment or something. I really don't remember. Who knows? Anyway, I appreciate you guys pointing that out. As we know, a civil war has erupted between the Quarren and the Cala people. The Quarren have joined the separatist forces. It's kind of a proxy war. The new boy king and his crew had to retreat into some caves to escape. The very first scene in this episode is an important one. We see a hologram of Dooku talking to one of the Quarren leaders. Dooku is trying to convince the Quarren not to underestimate the young boy king, not necessarily because he's powerful or strong or brave, but because he could become a symbol. He could become a martyr for the cause. He could rally the Cala behind him, and Dooku says that the whisper of his name can rekindle hope. From a leadership position, recognizing this in your enemy, recognizing where a gung-ho attitude could go wrong, is pretty damn important. You want to win silently. You want to win in a way that won't kick the hornet's nest. I'm beginning to see a tactical side of Dooku I haven't seen yet. Obviously, Dooku is super brutal, and the next moment, he tells his allies to send prisoners, including women and children, to internment camps. So the king, Anakin, Padme, and the crew are hiding underwater in the caves, and they decide to swim to the surface to see if their ship that they arrived on is still there and operational. Cut to Yoda and Obi-Wan and Mace Windu talking about not being prepared for the underwater war. They don't have time to outfit their current armaments for an underwater assault, so they decide to contact Species, who already has underwater combat capabilities, the Gungans. So Ahsoka, Anakin, and the Boy King jet up to the surface to reach their ship. There's a really great shot, it's very short but I liked it, as they're traveling upwards towards the surface. The camera cuts to the Boy King. He has a big smile on his face, a smile of hope and safety. We're almost out of here. And then the camera cuts to the ship on the surface from the King's perspective, just outside of the water, just out of reach, hazy from the distortion of the waves, and it explodes, it detonates, their plan is foiled. It was subtle, but I really liked how it was done. All of the debris starts to rain down. They decide to grab a hold of the debris and ride it to the bottom of the ocean. They're hoping to find safety on the seabed. Once again, cut to Yoda talking to the Gungans, and it took about 15 seconds to convince the Gungan leader to send in soldiers to their death and get entangled in a sovereign planet's civil war. It was pretty goofy. The leader was like, "Why do I have to think on this? I can't do this." And then Jar Jar Binks was like, "Padme's down there. She helps us. We have to help them." And then the Gungan leader was like, "You're right, Jar Jar. Let's go." Next scene, they're like invading a planet. It was just like, I don't know, it was goofy. The scene where we see a bunch of Mon Calamari prisoners being led is pretty powerful. Kit Fisto says the king is looking at the future of their planet, slaves made of both the Mon Cala and the Quarren people. In the next moment, Ahsoka tells the king that he doesn't have to carry a sword to be powerful. Some leaders' strength is inspiring greatness in others. And that's one of the biggest positives, I think, of this episode. It's a pretty solid lesson in leadership, all forms of leadership, honing one's strengths to push others to realize their true potential. The camera looks over at Anakin, and he brings down an entire building with the Force, disabling the Quarren radar. The Quarren leader goes on the hunt. And just in the nick of time, Republic ships full of Gungan troops show up. The scene was pretty great, honestly. It was a nice invasion scene. I liked how the camera followed one of the ships, dipped into it, and then we see an entire garrison of Gungan troops ready to drop down, and the fight commences. In the fight, the Quarren send in a big machine that creates an underwater tornado, a giant whirlpool, throwing the invading forces into chaos. And this is kind of what I was hoping for from the last episode when I mentioned clever and interesting underwater war technology. This is a neat weapon. One that makes sense, in underwater fighting. I really like how it was done. It brought some new type of combat to the episode instead of just two forces swimming at one another and firing blasters underwater. In the end, the Quarren take a bunch of prisoners, including Anakin, Kit Fisto, and Jar Jar Binks. This episode was action heavy, which was fun, but I thought its strong suit was in Ahsoka's dialogue about leadership directed at the young king. And as much as I liked it, I wish there was more. I wish there was more of that. Less emphasis on the fighting and more emphasis on the lesson. I would have been fine with, and preferred probably, an episode void of any fighting, where we as audience members get to know a bit more about Ahsoka's leadership mindset. An entire episode where they're still hiding out. You know, it's a 3-part arc. The first episode fighting, the middle act might have been lessons, kind of like, I don't know, Luke training with Yoda, and then the third act could have been the Mon Cala and the Gungans fighting back. But like I said, those moments, those lessons, are some of my favorite types of moments in the Clone Wars, where lessons and morals are offered up and reinforced. Because of this, Ahsoka is my favorite character in the Clone Wars so far. Seeing her evolution from a young, scrappy kid to a headstrong leader has been a lot of fun. On to the next episode. HelloGreedo, out.